Hello, everybody. Welcome to another stream. My name's Devin, and I am the founder of Monster Games. And today we're going to have another Monster Monday. We have a lot to talk about today because, man, oh man, was my weekend chocked full of stuff. I have a lot to talk about, and I want to talk a little bit about what I've been learning as well in manufacturing because that's something I'm not used to and not comfortable with. And so I went out of my way to try and learn everything I can. This entire year is me learning all about that. So let's talk about first my experience here. I just got back from Protospiel, Minnesota, and I believe it was in St. Paul, Minnesota, or something like that. But I just got back. Amazing designers there everywhere. It was kind of wild because I've been to Protospiel, Minnesota many times now, and usually it's super long, epic Euro heavy games, and I'm not a huge heavy gamer like that. So it was kind of nice to see a lot of medium weight games. There wasn't a ton of light games, which was fine because I brought a couple light games, but I am really excited to see where a lot of these games go. I can see a lot of them being published, and so it was really fun to be able to do that. And I also got testing of a bunch of my stuff as well. So I got we only play tested Montoons once because of how large the game was, and there was just so many people. It was hard to teach that. But I did get it to the table once. I tested the expansion. I found a broken combo, so I'm currently working on revamping that and tweaking some things there. I did get punch kick block play tested like 5 times, I believe. I got some work to do on Jerry's cards, but that's okay. He's just a future expansion character, so it's not like super urgent right now, so I'm okay with that. And then I also got Pollinators, my other game outside of Monster Games, tested, so that was super nice. But anyways, let's talk about some stuff. I finally got some manufacturing kits in. So I've been reaching out to these manufacturers trying to get sample kits because I'm a very much a person who needs to feel these things and feel what the quality and conditions are. So I currently have sitting in front of me, I have the first sample kit from Wingo. This was one of the manufacturers that I reached out to. I got a sample kit from them. So I've been going through each of these and looking at the card quality and looking at their dice quality because really for Punch Kick Block, the first game that I'm going to release, it's just cards, 2 acrylic dice, and then these dials that are really awesome that I have to figure out. So I have a Wingo sample kit. I also got one from Watts Games, and my buddy Andrew over there at Watts Games was able to get me a contact, and so I got a sample kit, which this is kind of a fun sample kit. It has a magnetic enclosure, so that's really nice. But, you know, they have things such as like the chipboard, the gray board. What does all that look like? How does a dual layer player board fit in? How do these tokens fit in? So that's really nice. And then I got Long Pack. Woo, man, they didn't just give me a sample kit. So I met a guy named Anthony at a Long Pack rep here at Protospiel this weekend. And let me just tell you, this sample kit is not small. This is kind of ridiculous. And so I understand why they, when you ask for sample kits, you have to pay for shipping because I didn't expect this whole thing. I expected just a small box. But what's really cool about what Long Pack gave me is they didn't just give me essentially a board game designer kit. It's like a designer pack, but it's also a board game. So that's kind of crazy. But they also gave me loads of material to work with. So I have these brochures to look through and see what their miniatures look like. Look at their brochures for their hobby game market, their family game market, their dice market, and general overall manufacturing. And so I am really pumped to dive into those. But what I've been learning is I'm going to pop over here really quick, and I'm going to share my screen and show you talk a little bit about what I've been learning. So first thing you need to do when you're starting to reach out to manufacturers is come up with a spec sheet, right? The spec sheet is essentially all the components in your game, and you really want to do this when you feel like your game components are final. When you feel like they are final and ready to go, you're not going to be changing components, go ahead and make this spec sheet. So what you're looking at here is a spec sheet for Punch Kick Block. I'm still working on some updates to it, but in a spec sheet, essentially what it is, it's your component's name, the count of the component. So for example, a box, 2-piece box, 1 count, so quantity. Then you're going to tell them the size in inches or millimeters, Standard is millimeters. So inches, if you want to convert it to be easier for them, that would be, I'm sure they would love that. And then you talk about the materials. So the materials are something you're going to have to learn, and it's something I knew a little bit about, but now I'm really starting to learn about it. So, GSM, I believe, is grams per square meter or something like that. But that's essentially how thick the thing is going to be. Gray board is kind of like the type of punch board or quality cardboard that you're going to be putting it on. And then the different type of paper. So this has changed. This 800 to 1000 GSM is not even close to what it was supposed to be. So this has changed. But then we move on to color. So whenever you see 4C over white or 4C over 0C, that's essentially meaning the front side is full color, the back side is nothing. So it's just blank. But when you see 4C over 4C, that means both sides are full color. So as you can see, right now I have 4C over white, which essentially this is actually going to be 0C. So what that means is the top of my box is going to be full color. The bottom of my box is going to be no color at all. So just like most boxes, and just like you see here in this box, I'm going to go here. Oh, okay. You can't show it. There we go. Just like you see in this box, 0C is on the back side here. There's nothing printed. 4C would be the front. So 4C is essentially saying for color and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. And then once we talk about surface, so surface is everything from lamination to varnish to linen finish to blank to et cetera, foil, UV, spot foil. There's a ton of things you can do. But for the two-piece box, I just have a matte lamination. Nothing fancy. I'm not looking for any over-the-top production in terms of the box cover. Maybe in a stretch goal, I'll add a UV spot, but it's not really necessary in my opinion. And then you also have notes. So I like to put notes in my spec sheet just to really give an example. So for example, here, each well in the box, 2 wells. A well is essentially a place where cards or token or something is placed inside, and it's deeper inside the box. Should fit 54 cards, 1 custom dial, and 1 12mm die stacked on top of each other. So I specifically don't want a box where the dice are in separate spaces, the dials are in separate spaces. I wanted a small condensed box. So I wanted everything, the cards and then the dial and then the dice to all stack on top of each other. So it's a little bit of a thicker, taller box. So then you talk about notes and then you go into the prototype image. This is not necessary, but it really helps the manufacturer kind of see what you're looking at or what they're looking at because they don't have your prototype in person, right? And you're not going to send them an $85 shipping charge of your prototype. So I put them a little image there to show kind of what I was talking about. I'm looking for 2 cards there, a little bit of an insert. I could have done a better job with the pictures, but these are the pictures I had before. So I went ahead and just shared that. So right away when you do this, you create your spec sheet, right? So when you send them the spec sheet, then they're going to come back to you. They're going to come back to you with, sorry, I'm getting used to this whole thing. They're going to come back to you with a bunch of quotes. And these quotes outline everything in the spec sheet from start to finish. Essentially, it's like it tells you the item, the quantity, the size, the material. And one thing I learned is when you're quoting, always quote equivalent materials as well. So ask them to quote lower cost materials as well as higher cost. So give them some options. So when I was quoting, I asked specifically for my cards, right? My cards I really want to be nice quality, but I want them to shuffle well and I want them to be able to fit sleeved cards because I'm a huge fan of sleeves. So I made sure to request options for, box sizes for sleeved cards, non-sleeved cards, etc. See the options of price there. And then onto the cards. So there's different things and called card cores. So there's everything from white core, blue core, Chinese black core, Japanese black core, normal black core, ivory core. And then there's a couple other ones I don't remember off the top of my head, but those are typically what's inside of the card, and that determines what thickness of the card it is. So I am looking at right now I'm looking at a 310 GSM. So that's 310 grams per square meter, I believe. Blue core card or black core card. So black core is really thick and really nice. Something I love that manufacturers gave me is they give me these little things. This is a fancy one, but they give me these little cards, and each of these cards has written on them what they are, what grade they are. So this card is actually a 250 GSM grade A white core. So it's a little flimsy. This one's more likely to rip and tear and fall apart. And so I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to scroll through here. Scroll through. Wow. It's a sad generation we are. I'm scrolling through my cards. I'm going to look all the way through to the blue core. And the blue core is really nice. So, I'm looking at that, but then I don't really like how the finish is. So maybe we look through the black core. It's a nice finish, and then linen finish. So I've been going back and forth like that, and I'm asked for 3 different options. So they're basically going to quote me black core price, blue core price, linen finish price, and then non-linen finish price. So I think for me, I very much wanted to lean into heavy production, like great production quality, amazing components right off the bat. So punch, kick, block, I want to have a fantastic look visual on the table, as well as the component quality. So I'm leaning into, higher priced items such as the black core, but it's a low price point for the game. Probably $20, I believe, for the game. We'll see. We'll play out with that. So I've gotten I think 8 quotes back, and I've been learning all sorts of things about quotes. And whenever you're always looking at MOQs. So MOQ is a minimum order quantity. So that means that's the lowest amount that they must print for you. If it's a 500 MOQ, that means the company will print. They can print 500 for you at a certain charge. It's going to be expensive because obviously the more you buy, the cheaper it gets, because it's kind of the mass market production, how they like to do that. So I've been quoting 1,000 MOQ. I have one company at 500 MOQ, but they have not been communicative with me, so I most likely will not be working with them. So I'm looking at a 1,000 MOQ minimum order quantity, a 2,000, and then a 3,000. And then based on how the campaign looks, obviously I can look at a more than 3,000, but I'm not looking that far ahead here. I'm expecting a 1,000 print run, and I'm hoping, honestly, a 1,000 print run. I think that's great because I want to start small. I want to make sure I can follow all the pieces to the end. So I've been learning a little bit about that. The dual layer dial has been the biggest complication. If I didn't have the dial, it'd be very easy to work with, right? I know exactly what I need to quote, etc. But this dial is a triple layer. You can't see it really very well, but it's a triple layer dial, which means it has 2 rivets, so you can see 1 and 2. It has linen finish, gray board on the top, 2 dials in the center, one that actually is the spinning dial with the numbers on it, and then another one on the bottom that is simply just a supporting dial to help the thing hold together. Otherwise, it would clip like this, and it would feel really bad in your hand. And so I specifically wanted this because I wanted it to be left-handed or right-handed. I wanted it to be accessible, so if you want to hold it like this and rotate it like this, as I normally do, or if you want to just do this, or you can hold it like this. There's a lot of options that way. So this dial has made it a little bit tougher, but I already have the cut lines. I already have the SVG files and the nick cuts ready to go. Essentially, I know I'm saying a lot of big words that most people don't understand. I never understood until now, but a nick cut is essentially a little cut when you're doing punch board cutouts. In graphic design, your graphic designer should know how to do that, or should learn how to do that. You make these cuts on the end, so when the laser cutter goes around and cuts to that system, it stops, leaves a little bit of space, and then it picks up and goes to the next thing and continues cutting it out. So you want at least 2 nick cuts, so then when you see punch boards, you press them in, you see how they don't actually pop out by themselves. You actually have to physically push them out. That's why nick cuts are there, is so they can stop, go, and there's a little bit of material, just enough to stay in the punch board. So I think those are really cool. I still don't know how to do those myself, but I'm going to have to learn how to do that. Not for this game, because I already have the SVG files laid out, but for future games. So that's kind of a little bit right away what I've been learning about. But I have exciting news to share. We're going to reveal the final artwork for Aurora. Woo! Boom! Bah, bah, bah. Check it out. So I got the final artwork for Aurora from my artist. Absolutely killed it. So this is the first Guardian character to be released in the game. Obviously, they're all going to be released in the expansion, but this is the first one. So Aurora is a protector character. It's not a normal Montoon. It's a Guardian character. So she will be part of the bonus Guardians, which I don't have her right here, but the bonus Guardians essentially are the bonus ones where whenever you get a shell, heart, or a berry, you're going to, instead of circling to the right like normal, you're going to go to the left and gain different actions and abilities that way. So Aurora is the first one. She's a protector, and so all of her abilities will be around healing, gaining guard, moving away, or possibly dealing a little bit of damage. So I'm really excited. I think Neil and John crushed this artwork, and I currently have Zendis, the first draft of Zendis awaiting. And I totally forgot I could totally pull that up as we're speaking here. If you have any questions about my experience so far, please let me know if you are watching. And I'm going to make sure to pull up this really quick. I know I'm super boring. It's okay. We're going to replace this with an image. We're going to go to downloads. Boom. And this is Zendis. So this is kind of like the little bug creature that I had him work up. And it's kind of like the bug crab mixed with weird looking fairy thing. I don't even know how to explain this. But this is the character of Zendis, my buddy's character he made and designed. And this character is all about, he's a warrior character. So you wouldn't think about it, but this character likes to move, not following movement restrictions. And then also has a really good attack called Bolt Strider, I believe, something like that. And so it's more about attacking and not electrocuting you, because that's not exactly where we're going with it. But this will be the character. This is the final sketch for this character. So I'm moving on to inks now for the draft phase. So that is Zendis. So that's another exciting thing I'm working on. Then let's move on and talk about the battle map reveal for the next character. Bam, bam, boosh. So ignore the PR on the bottom right. That was going to be a promo map, but I changed that up here. So this is the newest map I'm working on for the next release in Q2 of this year. Alongside Puka, this map will be here. I'm going to add a little bit more water, I think, to replace, because this is a older version. But this is the homelands, or the Chiefs' homelands. I'm figuring out which one I want to call it. But we're looking at a full 1, 2, 6, and 5 as individual waystones, and then we have a 3 and 4 waystone on the bottom right. This map is specifically tailored to help you with Guardians expansion because it has a little bit of everything for terrain-wise. Zuxus, one of the characters, focuses on going through specific types of terrain. So this one allows Zuxus a lot of free roam and able to move through that terrain and cross off their moves for their special attacks and exciting things. So we have 3 whirlpools to be able to get you across the land because it is kind of wacky to get around. We have some lava, of course. We have some whirlpools, ice, rocks. We don't have any boulders because I used rocks for this one. But this one is called the Homelands or Chiefs Homelands, and it'll be released in Q2 alongside Puka. The next battle map to reveal is this one, and I don't remember what I called it. I think it's called Blight Rock Pass or something like that. But this is the first battle map to be released with the expansion, and this is the new win condition I am testing out. So I am going to be testing that out as of tonight. I'm feeling confident with the Guardians themselves, so now I have to figure out the purification mechanic. So this idea is essentially the characters are going to go around, and it's a little bit of an area control aspect. So when you go into these poison hexes, you will gain a poison, but you can remove a purification die from your assigned purification. And if you do that, you just fill in one of these circles, right? Or you put, you just fill in one of these circles. If you are the one to complete both of the circles, you erase both of them and you gain a purification token. The first person to 5 tokens wins. It's a little bit of an area control type because if you go to one of these and your opponent decides to reveal 2, whoever has the more filled in circles will go ahead and get that win. Or it's the first person to complete all 3 of the circles will erase all of them. So it's kind of like a race to get to the specific blight hexes, but that's the idea, and that's what I'm working on currently with this. Anyways, that is all for the battle maps. That's all for the release. Let's go to my big screen here, and I want to show you a little bit about what I was learning in the playtesting this past weekend. So one thing I learned about playtesting this past weekend is we're going to jump to punch, kick, block here for a second. The first game release. I playtested Jerry Hat-Trick multiple times, and the biggest thing about Jerry is he's vastly different from the original Captain Furious and Danger Duck. So his cards actually have a lot more text and exciting stuff to do on his special cards. But that being said, they were a little confusing in how they were working. So, for example, the Hat Trick. this card draw spell is supposed to be simplified, right? But right now it says, look at the top card of your deck. You may discard that card. Okay, seems right. If you do, draw the top 2 cards of your discard pile. But this was not working very well at all because there's no reason to keep the top card on top of your deck, because if you discard it, you're going to draw no matter what. The other problem is this, when played, gets discarded. So the card that you draw will go on top, getting you the hat trick back. So you can literally just combo this all the time and get all of your cards in hand. So that is not going to work. We're going to fix that up to be something to do with the discard pile. Probably something like draw the top 2 cards of your discard pile, or something like that. Draw the bottom 2 cards of your deck, something like that. And then finally, the banana toss and the penalty. The penalty was cool. It allows you to force someone to roll a little bit one higher than they're supposed to roll in the attack. But I noticed a lot of players weren't using that as often. They were more just discarding it to gain new cards. So that's something to look at. Is it worth it? Is it worth the draw? And then finally, banana toss. People were just very confused at how that worked. It literally says, play this card as a block. Swap the blocked card with a card from your opponent's discard pile. Well, that's broken because a card could imply you can get a block card. Well, in the game, when you're attacking, you cannot get a block card. So it just doesn't work. I have to fix that up. And then one big thing that I learned, or that no one else had said. So this is the playmat that I have possibility of an add-on for PKB. Probably not, but it's possible. So this is what the playmat looks like. Whoop. You can see it has the blue side, the red side, and then a middle combat zone. However, this playmat is a little bit weird because people were like, why is my, this is actually where your deck goes right here, and then this is the discard pile. They were like, wait, why is my deck on the left side and the discard pile on the opposite side? So I'm going to play around with let's see if I can hold it here. Play around with the deck being on this side and then the discard pile being on the right side. So that way it's on the same side as your character instead of discarding on the opposite side of the player. So I thought that was very interesting. No one has mentioned that before. So hopefully I can change the art here and try and test that out. I'm going to test that out tonight. But that playmat will probably be an add-on in the campaign. It obviously won't fit in the box, but it's something that if you wanted a playmat, you could add that playmat. Anyway, so that's kind of what I learned about Punch Kick Block. I did have 2 proof of sales in the demo. So I had one family. Shout out to Jared and Everest and the family there. They played Punch Kick Block, and the kid Everest was just like, after he was done, he's like, this game was so fun. And he went to his dad and he's like, I want to buy this game. And I was like, boom, yes, that's what I was hoping to hear. So that was super fun, and it really feels good when that happens. And then when we played Monsoons, the biggest thing I learned is that Savale, one of his attacks, it could be broken, but there's enough to balance that out that I think it works really well. And then also we tried the training character sheets with the Guardian expansion, which I haven't done before. And the training sheets are already really powerful. So with the Guardian sheets, it was almost like you didn't necessarily need it. It still gave you a lot to work with, but you didn't necessarily need it because the characters were already super powerful. But anyways, it was super fun. They had the guy had a blast. David, shout out to David. And he's also a musician. Pop Rocks, shout out to Pop Rocks. But yeah, so overall, it was a very successful weekend. My first playtest of Punch Kick Block was with a rep for Long Pack, Anthony. So I'm going to be reaching out to him, and he actually got to feel the game, feel the dials, feel all these things. So having a rep that actually saw my game in person is going to be super helpful and super nice to communicate with. But anyways, that is all I got today. I'm currently working on the quotes and getting everything lined up for when I go to Gamma. I'm going to be researching some stuff at Gamma as well. And yeah, I'm going to be designing Puka is almost done. I'm working on the rules for Puka right now. I'm at the ultimate attack for the how to play, official detailed how to play. So I'm close to being done with that as well. Whew, there's so much to do, so little time. That's all I got for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was insightful. I'll have more videos kind of like this every Monday. This kind of helps me learn as well. So hopefully that was good enough for you. Anyways, until next time, happy gaming. And I hope all of the monsters you find today are nice and happy. We'll see you later.